Joining us now is Joe Cirincione, president of the Plowshares Fund, which is a global security foundation. Joe also serves on Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's International Security Advisory Board. He's also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Mr. Cirincione, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Rachel.
Let me ask you first about Vermont. The state of Vermont in federal court now trying to prove it has the power to send Vermont Yankee packing. Do you have any idea what's going to happen in this case?
No, we don't. That's what makes this so interesting. You have to understand what's going on here. The state says it has real concerns about the safety of the plant. The company says that doesn't matter. A state doesn't have power to shut a nuclear power reactor over nuclear safety concerns because the federal government is the only entity that has that power. That's in the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So as long as the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, says it's okay, it overrules the state. So the state is saying, Vermont is saying that it has other concerns. For example, that the plant was leaking radioactive tritium several years ago, and when they discovered this, the reactor company lied about it. That the plant is so expensive to operate that they're afraid that the company's just going to walk away and leave Vermont holding the bag for potentially billions of dollars of cleanup. So this contest is going to set a precedent for whether states can use economic concerns or concerns about liability of the plant as reasons to close a power plant that no one in the state actually wants operating.
Joe, the larger issue that this gets at is that Vermont Yankee feels like a very old plant. It's getting to the end of its 40-year licensure, which is the reason the NRC was even considering it for relicensure. But these things, as we know, were designed with a 40-year lifespan in mind, and that's essentially the vintage of all nuclear power plants in the United States. These are also the similar age and similar design to the reactors in Fukushima. Do you think it's legitimate to have safety concerns about the aging of these plants?
Absolutely. And in fact, there's evidence that the power company itself has these concerns because there may be plans to sell the plant to a brand new company that's been set up that the state of Vermont doesn't believe has the capital to actually operate it. So we could be seeing essentially a dumping of the plant. And one of the reasons that the company is suing Vermont to stop it is they don't want the state to stand in the way of this basically financial operation that would relieve them of any liability to run what they are now looking at as a nuclear white elephant.
In terms of the North Anna plant in Virginia, it was a week after the earthquake before we found out that the plant had been shaken more than it was designed to handle. We were told initially that the automatic shutdown went smoothly, that the diesel generators kicked in smoothly, and that there was no danger because it was designed to withstand much stronger shaking than it went through. Turns out the last part of that, how much it was designed to withstand in terms of shaking, was not what they initially told us. How worrisome is that to you?
Well, the plant is still shut down. I mean, it's still not operating, and there are great concerns about whether that plant can safely operate. The NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, is planning a special inspection of that facility. I think you have to be very worried about this, and this is why the Nuclear Regulatory Commission just last month issued a task force report with a series of pretty good recommendations saying that, for example, all plants in the United States should reevaluate their construction based on what we now know about the higher than we thought likelihood of things like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, all of which have hit us in just the past few months and have affected operations at nuclear power plants. The concern is that the commission itself won't actually act on the recommendations of its task force. Some of the members more friendly to the nuclear power industry understand that what the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is proposing is going to cost the industry money. They want to keep their profits high, costs low, so you may see an effort to delay and delay and delay these safety recommendations.
Hearing those concerns from you, Joe, about safety regulations in general in the U.S., about the North Anna plant, about the Vermont Yankee situation, on the other side of this, am I right to think that you think there's no real radioactive or nuclear damage, nuclear risk associated with that French incident today that got so much attention?
Well, the French incident, I think, actually was what the French said, an industrial accident. Now, it's never good to have an explosion at a nuclear facility. This is a facility that makes the highly controversial fuel, MOX, mixed oxide fuel, that has plutonium in it, a very expensive, very dangerous fuel. But it doesn't appear that the fuel itself caused this explosion. We still don't know what the cause is. One thing we do know about accidents at nuclear plants is that we never get this right on the first day, whether it's 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl or Fukushima or now France, we're probably going to have to wait a couple of weeks or so. The IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, has asked for a special inspection of that facility. Let me just add, this comes at a very inappropriate time as far as global nuclear power industries are concerned. Tomorrow, the IAEA is set to take up a series of recommendations to increase safety regulations at plants globally. It's recommendations that France doesn't want to see passed. I think this accident, even if it's non-nuclear, is going to have an impact and raise concerns of the agency's, most of the agency's members.
Joe Cirincione, president of the Plowshares Fund, a man who, I have to say, it's the rumors that you have, it's never a good idea to have an explosion at a nuclear facility. The rumors that you have that tattooed on your back in Latin, I can attest, tell everybody that's not true, but thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for stoking the rumors, Joe.